please join me in welcoming Lieutenant Governor of New York State, Robert Duffy.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. You're going to hold up dinner. Thank you. Thank you. I am truly honored to be here on behalf of Governor Cuomo, and I just some quick acknowledgments, if I could. First, to Dave Smith, I want to thank him for his introduction, for his leadership. Heather Bersetti, last year at this stage, I gave her a little plug. I think she was interim leader of this great organization, the Business Council. She's done a phenomenal job. I want to thank Heather for all her leadership. We have some partners in government. I think the Assembly Minority Leader Brian Kolb is here, and I was told in the audience. I can't see it. Brian? I have to say this, Brian and I come from the same neighborhood, and I kid Brian, every time I'm out at an event, he's in like a Hawaiian shirt and shorts. So Brian, thanks for wearing a suit tonight, I appreciate that. A great leader in the Assembly. Also from the Senate, I think we have Senator Betty Little who is here. I want to thank Betty for being here. Senator Kathy Young, I know, is in the audience somewhere. I want to thank Kathy from Western New York. Senator Tom O'Mara is here. Now, part of my speech, those are 4 esteemed elected officials. Now, we're on different teams, but I think the point I'm going to make tonight, the way that people are working together in Albany has been phenomenal. And it's really thanks to our governor, thanks to leadership in both houses. It's been a phenomenal change, but I want to thank them for their partnership. And also, just very quickly, I know we have 2 co-chairs. Tom Trander is at my table. I want to thank him for his leadership. Tony Collins is here as well from Clarkson. We have a number of members of our regional councils. I want to thank them. And also Kurt Gregg, I'm not going to be here for the awards ceremony, but Kurt Gregg from Corning, I want to thank him and congratulate him on his leadership and getting recognized tonight. And I had to plug Tom in front of his boss, in front of Kirk a few minutes ago, shamelessly, but I just want to get those out of the way and just thank everybody for being here. You know, I could sit here and read a speech. I'm not going to. What I have to say, I'm going to just speak from the heart and tell you what I think is happening in the state. First of all, to this New York State Business Council, to Heather, to the board, to all the members. On behalf of Governor Cuomo, I want to thank you. Thank you for your support over the last 21 months, for your support from the tax cap to 2 budgets that are on time, no new taxes, the pension reform, and there's a whole host of other things that will hopefully come. But your support for Governor Cuomo and our team has been phenomenal. I want to thank you. I also want to thank all the members of this council for your investment in New York State. For leading a business in the state, and perhaps New York State has not always had a reputation of being business friendly. Certainly there are challenges ahead, but Governor Cuomo has done a phenomenal job in the last 21 months working with both houses. Things are changing. There is a momentum shift that is exciting. And I'm going to circle back at the very end and just close up with some thoughts on that. But it is a change that's happening. And this business council has just been incredible in terms of their leadership. And there are people in this room that have had choices. You could take your company elsewhere. You've chosen to invest in New York State to create jobs. We thank you for that. We thank you for sticking with the state during some very, very tough times. And we hope you are going to be part of the change of state when many, many good times come in the future. So I just want to really acknowledge that. One of the greatest opportunities I have had in this position is to be part of this whole regional council concept. I know we have members here. I mentioned 2 of the co-chairs. That is a change that, in my estimation, is one of the biggest transformative projects in this state. It is 10 regions that have been subdivided. It is being led by a CEO from the business community and a university or college president. It is made up, these councils are made up of elected officials, business leaders, not-for-profit leaders, community leaders. And the whole landscape of economic development in the state has changed because the governor, with his insight into doing this, has really created a state and transformed it into much more manageable chunks. It is a bottom-up process for economic development. It is getting ideas and leadership at the local level to identify projects and projects that will be impactful for creating jobs in our respective regions. And when I look at how this has worked, because when I first heard the governor talk about it, I was very excited about being part of it, but they actually go and travel and be there. First of all, it is one of the most incredible education experiences of my entire career to go and sit and look at these phenomenal leaders who are so busy, that have families and businesses and huge responsibilities, who give up hours that we couldn't even quantify. If we had to pay them, the state would go broke because they have given up their time. It is the highest form of public service, and everywhere you go around the state, you're seeing changes. Over $700 million invested last year. I think 780 some projects were funded. 100% of those projects are underway. 3/4 of those projects have hit their first milestone. Things are moving. They are large, medium, and small, but they're all impactful based on this region. This year, over $700 million again being invested in the regional councils. I think there were 3,100 applications, probably about 60 or 70 more than last year. Those decisions are being made right now, but it is a huge infusion of economic activity across this state. I have an apartment in Albany. When I'm in Albany, I drive down Washington Ave near the Nanoscience Center most days. And it's like being in Midtown Manhattan because you have this whole nanoscience, high-level technology sector in this state that is really being driven. Linda Sanford, I talked to before, IBM. Last year we have an announcement, $4.4 billion, IBM, Samsung, Intel, Global Foundries, I think RSMC, the partners, $4.4 billion invested. It will create and retain thousands of jobs. The state is putting in, I think, $400 million for the Nanoscience Center. And if you are not from the area, if you have not been down there, go see it. It is just a beehive of activity. I said to Linda, I think about my calculation, I think IBM has put in about $10 billion over the last decade or so. But these investments, they are creating incredible jobs, incredible growth opportunities around the state. You know, the governor is a friend. The governor is somebody who I have enormous confidence in, but I say without any hesitation, he's the best governor in the country. He has shown leadership in Albany, leadership around the state. And I mentioned before some of our elected officials who are here. You have an environment in this state, and I'm not saying everything's perfect. We disagree on issues. It's natural. We disagree on issues in everyday life. But you have people that work together for the betterment of the state, who aren't fighting, who aren't pointing fingers, are finding ways that find common ground to work together to put people back to work. And that's what I have seen in the last 21 months. That is not only creating a sense of confidence around the state, but it is creating investor confidence around this country and around the world. I've told this story several times. Our first month in office, I called the company out in the Midwest about coming to New York State, and they laughed. And I don't think they're laughing any longer because we have done some things collectively, the Business Council, every corner of the state, the leadership, led by the governor, where things are changing, where people are looking at New York far differently. Standard & Poor's came out recently, and they have not issued a new credit rating, but have issued a very positive response to where the state is going. Credit ratings, it means huge savings and money for governments. Why is Standard & Poor's looking positively on the state? Because we have 2 on-time budgets. We've held taxes. The governor's not raised taxes. He has had 2 budgets with enormous gaps that have been filled by looking inside. And if you read the paper this week, the governor's announced that each agency in the state is not going to grow. He's holding things flat because we're not going to put the burdens on the backs of taxpayers. We can reduce the cost of government in order to bring more investment. But those are things that, it's leadership, it's teamwork. I think it's a great model for the rest of this country. It's a great model in our nation's capital to follow with both sides can find common ground. Both sides can work together. And what we need is the Business Council. We need your support. We need your candor. I mentioned Heather before. I know Howard Glazer was here today. I have great respect for Howard. He's a great colleague and a great teammate. We will come back to the board at any time to listen, to try and carry out and go back and raise the things and keep raising those issues that are important to members of this council. And I think the Business Council is a great conduit to the governor, to the second floor, to all of us, because you speak for hundreds of thousands of people around the state. You are key to creating jobs around the state. The private sector is the job creator. We are here. We have to be there to support you. And I'm not going to tell you that things are perfect and every issue has been resolved. It is not. We have a lot of work to do, but I would also challenge you in the last 2 years to see what has been done. That's the start. This is a marathon. This is a long-term process. I appreciate your time, your attention. I hope to come back again next year. I'm sorry to leave. We're going back to, I have a ribbon cutting first thing in the morning in Rochester, and back tomorrow night back here. But I just appreciate so much, Heather, the invitation to come. Looking forward to come back next year. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.